Hey everyone, and happy Friday the 13th. Well, actually, not specifically. We're actually a few more months away from an official Friday the 13th, but today, when I'm recording this, hopefully when I'm uploading it, is March 22nd, which is the anniversary of the original release of Friday the 13th Part 5 A New Beginning, which was released on this day back in 1985. And because it is 2025, I'm pointing out the obvious, it means it is now officially 40 years old. Which is kind of weird to think about that, it's been that long. But yeah, we are now celebrating the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th Part 5 A New Beginning, directed by Danny Steinman, who, kind of funny, I actually looked this up because I was like, is that right? I believe he only directed 4 films, with this one being his last one. Now, I'd be wrong about that, but at least that's what it looked like that was the case. Now, I do want to mention real quick, though, that he, before this, he directed Savage Streets, starring Linda Blair and Linnea Quigley, which I love that film. Very exploitation. Well, he pretty much did exploitation film. Well, the 4 that he did anyway. I love that. That's one I would love a 4K release of eventually, hopefully. Starring Melanie Kinnaman, brief cameo by Corey Feldman. But also John Shepard taking over the role of Tommy Jarvis, plus Carol Locatell, who unfortunately has passed away, as well as Ron Sloan, who, between the two of them, they were Ethel and Junior. Very insane characters, but absolutely love them to death. Extremely hilarious. And of course, you have Dick Wyan as Roy, who obviously turns out to be fake Jason. Spoiler alert, I guess for the 1.5 of you who maybe hasn't seen it yet. And then Tom Morga, stuntman Tom Morga, who's been in actually a lot of stuff, was the one who actually did Jason for a majority of the film. And of course, I can't forget Miguel Nunez for the infamous damn enchiladas line. Now, the interesting thing about Friday the 13th Part 5, of course, is that after the final chapter, which at the time was supposedly the end of Jason, but, it did well enough at the box office that Paramount was not ready to let it go. They figured there was a little bit more cash to be made. And so, but they didn't know what to do because, when you get a machete to the head, it's like, wow, what can we do now? And that's where this film comes along, where they were trying to do something different by continuing the story, but obviously have it be a little bit more of a murder mystery. Is it supernatural? Is Jason actually still alive and killing all these people? Is there something else going on? Is it Tommy? Because it's not an insane asylum, but a house for people who need mental help. And obviously, after the trauma of the final chapter, the character of Tommy is in this place. And so people even think it might be Tommy. But then, of course, at the end, we find out it's Roy. So now I have to admit, I wish I could say that I was sort of not ahead of the curve. That's not the right term, but sort of like on board from the beginning when I first saw A New Beginning, when I was very, very young. I got into the Friday 13th probably a lot younger than I should have. But when I did finally get to this one, it's weird because I know there are other films, Halloween 3, perfect example, where I've loved Halloween 3 since the moment I saw it. I never really understood the people who hated it because, Michael Myers isn't in it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, but he's not in it at all. I know outside of the commercial, on the TV, but but it's not. It's a whole, in essence, a separate film. Its only downfall was the fact that it did say Halloween 3. That's really its only drawback. Luckily, it's not the case. Now it obviously has a new appreciation. But in that case, I can definitely say from the get-go, I love that film, was a big supporter. I've always been a big supporter of it. But in this case, unfortunately, I actually had that feeling where I was like, oh, it's Jason, but it's not Jason? Like, what the hell? Like, I was kind of not too happy about that. And for a while, I really did not appreciate this film as much as I eventually did. Now, I think the problem is, again, I was a kid and stuff, and coming off, what order did I see them? Did I see 5 after 6? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the point is, it's like, I wanted Jason, and they were presenting Jason, but it wasn't Jason, and blah, blah, blah. But eventually, I think as I got just a little bit older, because it didn't take that long, within like a couple years, were just a hair older, and I think what changed especially was obviously already knowing how it played out, but specifically the humor. Once I got the humor of the film, that changed everything. All of a sudden, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and I've loved it ever since. And of course, I have been lucky enough to actually meet a good portion of the cast. Mainly, I mean, a little bit here and there, but the majority of them was actually back at flashback weekend of 2021, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because I think some of the Coof stuff was still going on. But as you can see in this picture that I got with all the people there, a little piece of plexiglass between some of us, and it's weird. But anyway, I love the picture with all of them in it. And yeah, that's a couple of my posters I've been getting signed over the years by different people, different movies, different posters, and this is one of them. I'm happy to have as many on it as I do. And there's still a few more I would like to get, especially before people are no longer around, like Carol Locatel, which I'm very, very fortunate I got to meet her for many reasons, not just the fact that I got her signature on my poster, but she is almost more hilarious in person than even her character is in the film. It's just absolutely fantastic. So anyway, I'm rambling on as I normally do, but definitely want to take a moment out of today and give a little celebration to Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, which again, and I'm very much guilty of this, kind of took some heat a little bit, for a while, but then I think a lot of us, over the years have definitely warmed up to it. I know I have big time. So let me know your thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 5, especially if you had a kind of similar journey, if you kind of warmed up to it over the years, or if you enjoyed it just right from the get-go. So happy 40th anniversary to Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
Oh, some damn enchiladas! Oh.